If you're still just joining us, it's still today in the news, and we're down to the newspaper analysis segment where we're joined in via Zoom by Mr. Albert Oladapo OGUNWUSI, who is the former editor of Nigerian Tribune and a practicing lawyer. You're welcome back, sir. You're welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're talking about the industry hard hit as COVID-19 upsets the Forex market. And the plight of the corporate in the Forex market worsened last weekend when the CBN signaled its decision to devalue the Naira by 5.5% to 380 Naira per dollar at its retail Forex auction. What's your take on this?
Yes. I think there was a shortfall in earnings from oil because of there's a shutdown all over the world, and people are not buying oil. And in Europe, and as well as in those areas where they buy the bulk of our oil, people don't need oil at the moment because the weather is getting warmer, and then there are no cars on the road, no industries are working, more or less. So oil receipts crashed, but only for a while. Because I think in the last, but Nigeria is a peculiar place. If people are not going abroad, those who need Forex for medicine, who need Forex for food, who need Forex for all kinds of things, who need Forex for travel allowance and so on, they don't need it at the moment. Then why is it that the dollar is 450 at this moment? And the reason for that is very, very clear. People are doing panic buying. A lot of people are trying to change their naira into dollar because they see that the government is not interested in rescuing the naira. Because if the government wants to rescue the naira, there are steps they can take. We still have a reserve of well over, in fact, something $1 billion. That is sufficient to protect an economy like ours. But what you will discover is that nobody is interested in doing the right things. It took a long time before the CBN, using some clandestine maneuvers, stabilized the dollar at around 360. That's about 2 years ago. No, it was it was about two years ago. But I think now, at the moment, they have slept on their roads. They have slept on their duty. We now have a situation where people do panic buying, and the malams are there speculating and making money. Okay, so if the dollar can be bought at 450, and Nigeria is selling its drone at 370, so the natural thing is to try and be part of the game.
All right. The sharp depreciation of the naira is heightened by the influx of dollar demand from corporate organizations. How best can the Forex market recover from this?
The Forex market will recover marginally as the international economic climate improves. When there is greater confidence in the naira, as vis-a-vis our ability to earn more money. But the fact remains that there is no basis at the moment. That America that has been shut down for almost 4 months now, an America that is plagued by 120 something thousand deaths and over 500,000 COVID patients, an America where no industry, no serious industry is moving at the moment, where cars are off the road. That same America is the owner of the dollar that we are now buying at 450. The facts do not work out, and it shows a lot about our seriousness to protect the national currency.
Okay, last week it was reported that during the COVID-19 public hearing, a lawmaker actually bounced journalists out. That's because of according to reports, during the probe hearing, a lot of crowd was in the hall, and they had to tell them that they should stop allowing people in. But instead of stopping people from coming in, a lawmaker decided to bounce some journalists out from the hall. What do you think about this? A lawmaker turning to a bouncer.
What is the meaning of bouncing people out? Because people just use words in this country. Bouncing people out. I don't know how many people can it be to? Well, I think the facts are clear that the man applied, physical measures to prevent, people from crowding that committee room. He did the right thing in the wrong way. And that is what I think answers the subsequent of a bouncer.
No, but the issue here is, why did he focus on the journalists instead of stopping others who were just coming to enter from entering the hall?
They were already more than 30. Well, by the time you had the committee members to the people from the Ministry of Health, they had already gotten the figure of 30. So it's ridiculous.
Okay.
And most of them were not wearing face masks. I mean, it's not that I agree with anybody applying force, and using rude methods. But I think that we should be more serious about this COVID thing, please. No, because so many of the journalists did not have face masks.
But without face mask, were they supposed to be allowed into the hall at first without their face mask? Don't you think there's actually something wrong in that aspect?
I agree with you. The management of the National Assembly was careless, and they have probably been doing that thinking there will be no problem. But if somebody like the Chief of Staff could die, if somebody like Senator Ajimobi could die, if somebody like Akeredolu could have COVID, if somebody like Seyi Makinde could have COVID, why are we assuming that we are immune? Are we really serious?
Okay, it was reported that 632 intending lawyers failed the bar exam, while just five banked first class. So what do you actually think about these 632 failing the bar examination?
About many, because that is important. Because I recall that there used to be far many more failures than that. And there are two classes of failures. There are those who would have to retake all the exams. Those are real bar final fails. Then there are those who would only have to retake one exam. And usually they organize a receipt for those people. And I do not think this figure is significant, because there have been far worse figures in the past. There was a time they had 77% failure or something like that.
But you are a practicing lawyer. Being a practicing lawyer, how was the exam for you? And how do you feel, having this high percentage of people failing the exam?
I became a lawyer as an adult, and I had already run a national newspaper, and it was rather hard for me, because I had to pay myself to academic discipline, and those exams are really hard. As a lawyer, they are hard because of the way they are presented, because of the way they are handled. I think people ask that there's one in which they will ask you to answer 100 questions or something in 15 minutes. So all these things are the laws who take with which people graduate to become medical doctors. Should be the same figure that the law school labs. So it is strenuous.
Okay. All right, so we move on to...
And that is why it's very rare to have lawyers that do not, comply with some minimal level of competence. You can't. Well, there are some lawyers, but it is not common to have lawyers that are pushovers intellectually. It's not common, and I think that is that is partly responsible for that.
All right, we move on to the Anglican Communion Bishop Dawson saying that federal government should also treat rapists as criminals. Now, this is my question. Who do we fault for this level of moral decadence eating deeply in our society?
Can you go over the question again? Treat who as criminals?
Okay, the Anglican Bishop Diocese was saying that federal government should treat rapists as criminals. Now, this is my question. Who exactly can we fault for, this level of moral decadence that is eating deeply in our society?
Honestly, I'm startled by all these rape things because it's not as if we live in a Sharia society. People are, the ladies are, okay, let's start from this area. Rapists are criminals. You do not need to ask government to treat them as criminals. There is a provision, or there are provisions in the criminal code as well as the penal code.
Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Albert.
And I think the standard punishment is 7 years. And that is if not a minor. Hello?
I can hear you clearly.
Yes, if the victim is not a minor, the standard punishment is 7 years. But if the victim is a minor, it can even go on to life jail. Like when you rape a small child and all these terrible things. But why is it that we have this sudden outbreak of rapes? Because
so who do we blame?
It seems to me to be against the run of play. Why are people suddenly doing that? That's strange.
That's why I'm asking, who do we blame for this sudden reprisal of rape attacks happening?
Honestly, I don't think society has undergone any major change that will make us to look for reasons elsewhere. Maybe moral upbringing, perhaps carelessness on the part of parents, and then the use of hard drugs. Yes, I think hard drugs will be a major propellant.
So there are different factions of people who say that the death penalty will be good for rapists. Some people are saying that they should be castrated. What do you think would be a defined punishment for perpetrators of this kind of attack?
To be honest, I think our laws are strong enough to deter rape because the provisions of the law are sufficiently serious. When you sleep with somebody using force and you go to jail for the whole of 7 years, that is not a joke.
But do you think it should be a bailable offense?
Well, it depends on the category of bail. If the bail system is strong enough to prevent their running away, why not?
And do you think it's strong enough to prevent them from running away?
Yes, if the judge is a serious person and imposes conditions that will make it almost impossible even to attain the bail. Yeah, because if you have to cram everybody in jail, that's another problem again on its own. Because our jails are very small and the provisions we don't have adequate provisions for taking care of anybody. Have you visited a jail?
But should this be considered? Because, this person that actually did this act, perpetrated this act, them going outside is also dangerous for other people, other minors or other women when it comes to this offense, this raping offense. So what do you think? Do you think
it depends on the conditions of the bill. You can impose conditions that will make all those things impossible.
Conditions like what?
For example, they can ask them to report every day. At the moment they don't see him one day, then the alarm will blow and they start looking for him. So I think that because don't forget that when you talk about rape, the presumption is that usually the society thinks that the accused person is guilty. There is always a likelihood, even though it's small, that the innocent person will get pumped in the process. And nobody will be comfortable with that. If a woman who wants money suddenly, sleeps with a man willingly, and then the man could not come up with the money, and then she shouts rape. Then you lock up the man for 2-3 years before he's even tried, only to see at the end of the day that he's innocent. So you have to keep a balance between all these contending possibilities.
All right,
you don't presume to be innocent until he's proven guilty.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Albert OGUNWUSI, for sharing your thoughts with us. He's the former editor of Nigerian Tribune and also a practicing lawyer. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Have a great morning.
All right, so that's all we have on the front page of the newspaper, but we're going to go on a very quick break where we'll just discuss more on sports. We'll be right back. Welcome back. On sports, we have a hush puppy masterminded 2 million euros scam on SS Lazio, says FBI. What do you think on this one?
I really don't know what to say about this one. Talking about this hush puppy, we know that it's not just this one. It was just said that he almost duped an English Premier League club of like over 100 billion euros or so, like that. So just talking about the fraudulent activities, the things he has done, coming out now and see that he even went to the extent of duping the EPL club. No, it's really, really strange. I don't know what to really say about that.
There are also other stories on the inside the Vanguard Sports. So if you want to find out more on sports, you can get the Vanguard newspaper or go straight to our website to check more on that. Let's just take Mr. and Mrs. And Mrs. says, what happened to my hair shampoo? I only used it once, but now the bottle is empty. And Mr. replies, when we exhausted the soap in the house, I had no choice but to improvise. In this pandemic period, washing our hands regularly is more important than the hair, which is really true.
It is very, very true.
I remember when we moved into the COVID pandemic, I remember how much some persons would say they wash their hands to the extent that their hands would be so white. So it's really very important to wash your hands.
But resulting to using the Mrs. shampoo, women don't play with the shampoo.
Well, but then if there is no soap in the house, you have to use the shampoo.
Of course.
That's what it is. So that's what we have for you on Today in the News. Remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. And if you want to find out more about top stories, hurry now to our website www.vanguardngr.com and find more of what's happening in the country and outside the country as well. I remain Precious Chukudi and have with me my co-host. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for our other programs. It's bye from us here in studio.